Ontario is reporting 1,003 new cases of COVID-19 today and 14 new deaths. Health Minister Christine Elliott says 300 cases are in Toronto, 280 are in Peel Region, and 125 in York Region. The province says it's conducted 41,268 tests since the last daily report and has a backlog of 47,074 tests. In total, 380 people are hospitalized in Ontario due to COVID-19, including 86 in intensive care. The province says 49 people are on ventilators in hospital. The latest figures bring the total number of COVID-19 cases in Ontario to 81,693, with 3,209 deaths and 70,086 cases resolved. As demand for flu shots appears to be up across the country, the Public Health Agency of Canada is working with suppliers to order more doses, which could prove more difficult than it sounds. In a written statement, an official from the federal agency said production of flu vaccine is usually finished by the end of October. Canada can only find additional doses from other countries that ordered more than they can use, or possibly from suppliers who produced more doses per batch than expected. It will not be until later this month or early in December that the agency will know if more doses can be found. The Parliamentary Budget Officer says the federal government has the wiggle room to add billions more in permanent spending before its finances become unstable. Based on the Budget Officer's calculations, the government could increase spending, reduce taxes, or a combination of the two to the tune of $19 billion and still reduce the debt to GDP ratio over time to pre-pandemic levels. That's down from the $41 billion the Budget Officer calculated in February before the COVID-19 pandemic. Yves Giroux's report says the same can't be said of some provinces, the territories, local or Indigenous governments, whose current spending levels could see debt growing continuously as a share of the economy. Only 3 provinces have finances that are considered sustainable in Giroux's view: Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia, each of which have varying levels of room to bump up permanent spending. Despite minuscule travel demand, Canadian Airlines continue to schedule tens of thousands of monthly flights, only to cancel the vast majority of them several weeks before departure in a strategy experts call bait and switch. The approach adopted by carriers following the collapse of the global travel industry due to COVID-19 leaves passengers stuck with vouchers they may never use or flights that take off days later than planned. John Graddick, an aviation expert and lecturer at McGill University, says the strategy is misleading and cynical and marks a response to customers' last-minute buying habits amid the shifting travel restrictions of the pandemic. Grocery retailer Whole Foods Market is facing sharp criticism for a policy that forbids its employees from wearing poppies. A spokeswoman for the grocery chain says that with the exception of items required by law, the retailer's dress code doesn't allow for any additions. She says Whole Foods Market supports veterans and will observe a moment of silence on Remembrance Day and donate to the Royal Canadian Legion's Poppy campaign. Veteran Affairs Minister Lawrence Macaulay tweeted that Whole Foods policy is absolutely unacceptable, a message the Prime Minister retweeted. Ontario Premier Doug Ford tweeted that Whole Foods policy is disgusting and disgraceful and said his government would introduce legislation prohibiting employers from banning poppies during Remembrance Week. More warm weather on the way. Daniel LaPrade has your complete weather forecast right after this.
Good evening and welcome back on your Friday, November the 6th. We've made it through the first week of November and we are in for quite the weekend of warm and above seasonal weather here. Of course, today was a beautiful day, hit a very nice high with a lot of sun and only a few clouds kicking around. So let's take a look at the radar. Now there's a lot of activity going on here, as you can see just north of us. Not really much over Sault Ste. Marie's region, but if you're in Timmins area, up towards that way, Thunder Bay, there is some precipitation, and it's actually in the form of a mix of some wet snow in some areas. However, there's nothing going on here. We are well above seasonal in our region, and there's a bit of cloud cover, but that's about all. Not a whole lot to report, so let's look at our camera here. And throughout the day, it was a mix of sun and cloud. We will see that continue until the sun goes down, and your sunset, by the way, is at 5:15 Eastern time. So now our days are getting much shorter. Our camera is brought to you by wirelesscom.ca. Check their website out for all the services they have to offer. Of course, they offer these beautiful cameras, or if you need telecommunications services, get a hold of them. So, as I mentioned, tonight we are going to shift down to partly cloudy. So let's get into our temperatures. 16 degrees in Thunder Bay was your expected high today, 12 and 13 in Wawa and Timmins, 16 here in the Sault as well, and 14 and 13 in Elliott Lake and Sudbury. Now what we're looking at overnight, 3 degrees in Thunder Bay, 5 in Wawa, 1 in Timmins, 10 here in the Sault, so we're only going to come down to double digits, 7 and 6 in Elliott Lake and Sudbury as well. So, as we get into that weekend, continuing on, we will just see a few clouds tonight. And then it will be cloudy in the morning. We'll clear out, mix of sun and cloud, 16 degrees once again, 10 overnight. So it's basically a repeat of today. So not too bad of a day once again. Your UV index, because I know people are probably wondering, because it's warmer out and the sun will be out, the UV index isn't really still a factor. 2 was your UV index for today, and it'll be 1 on Saturday. So not really anything to worry about. And then Sunday is our day that we're probably going to see some records broken if all holds well. 19 degrees, mainly sunny all day, but things will start to shift on Sunday night. We will see clouds move in, and that sets the tone for your beginning of your work week on Monday. 17 degrees in rain, and then it'll continue on Monday night and continue raining right on through. And as you'll see on the 7-day, it'll continue right through on Tuesday. Temperature starts to drop 11 degrees, and then we will see it continually trend downward to hit 6 by Friday with some clouds. So that's what's going on. Overnight lows, they will trend downward as well. We're going to stay in double digits until Monday night, and then we will be down to 2 degrees by Wednesday and Thursday. Normals for this time of year are 6 as a high and -1 as a low, so we'll be closer to normal as we get to the end of next week. So this is a Weather Watcher photo sent in for today. It is Ian McMillan who sent this in from it's Hilton Beach, Hilton Township, and St. Joseph Island. And so it's a beautiful sunset there. And that's where I will be going. I'll be going to St. Joseph Island this weekend. So beautiful shot there. Thank you, Ian. Send your photos and videos into ontvweather@gmail.com. Weather or pet related, because we do have some pet photos once again. We'll be featuring another one next week. So make sure you do send those in. Also, make sure you go to SiouxOnline.com. You can view all the stories and weather that we present to you there, and take the time to go to our social media channels. So you can find them there on the right side of the screen on SiouxOnline.com. So you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're on Instagram, where you can see behind the scenes stuff, and you can see the Weather Minute there as well. And we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe and watch everything on demand. So if you want to go and just watch to your heart's content one day and watch every single show, well, you can do that because it's on there. So make sure you subscribe to that. I will be back on Tuesday. I'm taking Monday off. However, I will remind everybody that Colette will be back on Monday on First Local. So it'll be Colette and Chris, and then on Tuesday we will all be together. So make sure you have a great weekend. Have a great night, and Mike will be back with more news right after.
Batchewana First Nation has decided to postpone its general election. It was originally supposed to happen February 5th of next year, but in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, it'll now happen on May 5th. Now that the date has been officially changed, the date of May 5th will be set for all future elections. Additionally, Chief and Council have recognized the challenges of elections being held in February with respect to weather. Therefore, this will allow the membership to have safe access to voting stations. Rolling Pictures and Future SSM have teamed up to show off how talented Sault Ste. Marie really is. Local artists have a chance to show off their work and get the credit they truly deserve. On TV's Dan Gray stopped by to check it out.
Night is the opening night of Art X project, and this is a project that Rolling Pictures, the Future Sault Ste. Marie, and Downtown Association have come together to produce to enable young up-and-coming artists to showcase their work. Well, we are the new kids on the block here at Rolling Pictures, and there was a lot of effort to renovate this building and make it a kind of a neat place for our employees to work, but it's not a place where the public would normally come through. And we just thought, we have a lot of white walls, we have a nice space, and we're in the arts community in our business, and we'd really like to share that space with people and get more people coming through to both see works of art, and that could be, by the way, our future plans are music, theater, on a very small and intimate scale. The idea of this project is monthly to rotate to have new artists. We did the initial call for artists back in September. We put this whole thing together fairly quickly. We wanted to do something COVID safe, so we're well underneath the capacities. We have an hourly flow of ticketing. It is free for the public. And then we're dovetailing, after the opening this week, we're dovetailing on to the Downtown Midnight Madness program. So Thursdays and Fridays, we're also going to be open for people to come and wander around and check things out here.
Well, it was important for the city to be involved in this because we just recently finished our culture plan for the city, and one of the outcomes and things that we heard from the community was that there was a lack of spaces for early career and artists in general to exhibit their work. So when Rolling Pictures came to town and then they were looking for some way to engage with the cultural community, we thought, well, an ideal way to do. I had been in their space. It kind of looks like a gallery space. So we thought we'd get together with the Downtown Association and put together this show to support our local artists.
I've been doing this kind of thing for a while, and to finally get some recognition, or at least somebody saying, hey, like, I like what you do, that's means the world to me. I can't see myself going any length of time without creating or doing something like that. If it's music or, even just doodling on the side of a book, like I have to, there's a compulsion, some people have a desire to do something, and the same thing falls for me. I need to do it. There's an internal drive to be able to make something.
This project will be able to be seen for the next few weeks down here on Queen Street. You can get your tickets at Eventbrite. For On TV, I'm Dan Gray.
Start where the member opposite started, which is something that is so important to this government: jobs for Canadians. And let me just point out to everyone in this House that the job recovery in Canada has been stronger than in the United States.
Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland was grilled this week over the mounting cost of providing relief programs to help Canadians and businesses weather the COVID-19 pandemic. During a 4-hour question and answer session in the House of Commons yesterday, Freeland refused to provide any new numbers about the size of this year's deficit, the overall federal debt, or the potential ballooning cost of servicing that debt should record low interest rates begin to rise. She told MPs that those projections would come in a fiscal update later this fall, not before, and declined to set a date for that update. Conservative finance critic Pierre Poilievre accused Freeland of a cover-up and of being afraid of disclosing the real costs of the billions in relief programs the government has created. Stats Canada says the pace of job growth slowed in Ontario as the economy added 83,600 jobs in the month, compared with 378,000 in September. The unemployment rate was little changed at 8.9% compared with 9% in September. Overall, there were about 1.8 million people out of work in October. The average economist estimate was for a gain of 100,000 jobs in October and an unemployment rate of 8.8%. Job increases were found across several industries, including retail. Most of the gains were in full-time work, with core-aged women benefiting the most to bring their unemployment rate to 6.6%, the lowest among the major demographic groups tracked by Stats Canada. But those gains were partially offset by a decrease of 48,000 jobs in the accommodation and food services industry, largely in Quebec. More Canadians were also working at home in October, coinciding with a rise in case counts of COVID-19. The Sault Thunderbirds will be on the ice tonight for their first preseason game of 2020 as they will take on the Blind River Beavers at 7 p.m. at the John Rhodes Community Centre. The Thunderbirds finished the 2019-2020 regular season with a record of 30 wins, 19 losses, 3 overtime losses, and 4 shootout losses, good for 67 points and third place in the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League's West Division standings. The Sioux was then supposed to play the Blind River Beavers in the West Division semi back in March, but But due to the coronavirus outbreak at the end of the regular season, the 2020 postseason was then called off. I'm Mike McDonald. We have more news and weather coming up.